Hello, family. So, in this video, I'll be sharing with you some of the reasons why you might be thinking that you're disadvantaged, or some of the reasons why you might actually be disadvantaged, whether in life, in business, in relationships, in career. You can use this in any area of your life. So, I'll be using a popular story from the Bible to those of us that are conversant with the Bible, and just in case you're not, this is one of the parables told by Jesus. So sorry, just in case you're hearing some background noises here and there, I've tried as much as possible to cancel background noises, but my baby's voice is very, very audible. It can be very, very loud at times. So just in case you're hearing some background, you know, I won't call it noise, sounds, prophetic sounds. So that's just my baby in the background. All right. So back to what I was saying earlier. So I will just be sharing with you some of the reasons why you might be thinking that you're disadvantaged. And I'm making this video because recently I was having a conversation with some of my teenagers, and some of them we were having this conversation, and some of them had this idea or this ideology or this kind of belief that there are some persons that God actually created or designed to succeed. There's some persons God, you know, planned for their life not to go beyond some certain level, and there's some persons that, regardless of what they do, it's they're just going to make it in life, just as we call it. And we had a very deep conversation, and it just occurred to me how that, not just them, but many other persons that have had some, you know, similar conversations with in the past, have similar idea, to the topic. And it just one of the stories that I just brought out for them was from the Bible, the story of the talent, the parable of the talent. One that was given 5 talents, the other that was given, oh sorry, the one that was given 3 talents, one that was given 2 talents, and there was one that was given 1 talent, right? And even while I was citing that example, they were like, yes, Auntie Grace, can you see it? Why did God give one, the one he gave 1 talent, why did he give that one 1 talent? Why would he give another person two? Just to tell you that these things are not equally distributed. And as we read through that passage together, and I told them, at the end of the day, they agree with me that as much as God has a major part, in scripting our lives, there are lots of things that, as individuals, as human beings, that God had created to have a will, to have a desire, to have emotions, to has given us the power to choose, to decide on on some certain things, even on some of the plans that God has for us or Satan has for us. We still have to decide with God, agree with God, or agree with Satan. How that God has given man that power to decide how the course of his life will actually go. I'm not saying this to make it look like, oh, God is not powerful, all powerful, or God cannot do some things without heart. But to a large extent, God has given man that power to choose between life and death. Even as we were told in the scripture, he said, but I tell you, I've advised to choose life. If that was not necessary, as beautiful as God, made Jesus to come to earth to die for the whole world. In fact, sometimes I was like, if I was God, I might probably make sure everybody receive Jesus. Why would Jesus come to earth to die for you and I, and we still have that power? As powerful as salvation is, it wasn't Lord on any one of us. We were given that liberty to choose if you want to accept Christ or not. So if salvation, as powerful, as vital, as internal it is, we still have that liberty to choose how much more how we live our life here on earth. So back to the story of the talent. And by the end of I don't want to bore you with, because we were in that conversation for hours, and because they were asking follow-up questions. I don't want to bore you with all of that. But at the end of that conversation, one thing I told them, which I would just want to share in this video, is that could it be that, which I think what happened, could it be that God had foreseen that the one he gave one talent was actually going to deal with, you know, with the talents, even if he was given five? Could it be that God knew that the disposition that he had was not because he had one talent, it was because that was his character? If this same guy that was given one talent was given five talents, I think he would have buried it. And God, being a just God, still went ahead to give him one talent. Or probably God was just, you know, letting us know that regardless of how low how um how disadvantaged anyone can think they are, at least you have one talent. Could it be that is what God is telling us? And could it be that by how we will, you know, by our behavior, by our personality, by how we see life, by how we utilize God's grace, by how we honor God's investment in our life, could it be that we are judged with that behavior and that character, and God are like, this is how this person is going to behave regardless? And that's why how that the Bible talks about, he that is faithful in little is faithful in much, not he that is faithful in little will be. So that means how you will handle 10,000 is the same way you will handle 1 million. So God will not just go ahead and give you because you're praying for that thing. God is more concerned about our attitude, about our character. And that brings me to another example in the Bible. This sorry, that background sound was it's kind of distracting me. All right. About Jacob and Esau, after God said, I love Jacob and I hated Esau. And we will wonder, what have these two people done? Yeah, I know there's a place of divine election, the place of God's mercy and grace. But you could still see that even when they were given the liberty to live their life, to live out a script, to live, how they will choose to by the decisions and choices on earth, the way Esau lived his life looked like someone that did not really value what he has, or which was his birthright. And sometimes we might go ahead and just judge God. We can't judge God, right? You can just go ahead and just say things to God, and that still will not change the place of character, personal choices, personal decisions. And you could see even from the character, from the behavior of this guy that was given one talent in the Bible. Even when the master came and said, okay, everybody, it's time to give account of what I've given you to handle. This guy came up and it was not even sober. It did not feel bad. It did not even feel he had done anything wrong. It was like, I know you are a hard man. I cannot please you. That's to tell you that, what if the master had given this same guy 10 talents? He would have just gone ahead to cover it up in earth. He would have just gone ahead to save it somewhere. Not even save it, because saving is making it look like he cared so much for it. This guy did not really care. He did not value what was given. He just went to just put it somewhere. That, okay, when your owner comes, I'll just give it to him. At least, he did not reduce. I'll give it back to God the way he gave it to me. That was not the intention. That was not the plan that he was going to in the first place. And could it be that was why he was just giving one? Because at least, well, one, I can still handle it. If even if at all you don't do anything with it. And even when the one he was given was taken away from him, this guy still did not care. He really did not give a damn. We can see it from that passage. That's to tell you that, one of the things I learned from the passage is that, number one, at least, no matter how it looks like, you know, you will underutilize what God will give you. God has given everybody at least one talent, at least one vision in life, at least one purpose, at least one goal, at least one thing you are aiming for in life. At least there's one thing, right? So it's left to you if you want to multiply, you want to subtract, you want to lose it, you want to trade it, you want to what again, invest it or multiply it. And another thing is that the character of the guy, you could even at the end of the story, you'd be like, oh, thank God he was given just one. Because if he was given 100 talents, he would have done the same thing. And this to bring me to admonish someone listening to this or watching this video right now. So I don't know what God has given to you, and you're saying it's just one. Is that small vision God gave to me, that's that small purpose, or that thing that I'm drawn to, or that thing I know I need to do, but it's just that small thing. It's just so it's not it's I don't even think it's relevant into this word, and God is still risking it by still giving it to you. I just hope by the end, as we played out in that story, the end and the master came. The end is going to be for us when we eventually meet our master, and we are, there's no more opportunity to come back on earth to fulfill that purpose. At that time, it's going to be either well done, faithful servants, or depart from me. So I don't know what talent, I don't know what vision that God has given to you that you need to pursue. I don't know that thing God had laid on your heart. It doesn't have to be so much, trust me. Even if it's just one, even if it's just two, even if it's just five, and if you have 10, praise God. And that's another mistake I think most people, make. People that are multi-talented, that can, that have the grace to do more than one thing effectively, do not allow people tell you just do one thing. This is because you know I'm trying to picture if those three guys were living in our today's world. The guy that was given one talent, we'll be seeing the guy that was given 3 talents as, he's doing too much, because this guy eventually multiplied it to someone that was given one talent and still did not do anything with that one talent. You'll be seeing this other guy as he's doing too much. Like, can you just focus on one thing? How can you be a business person, be a career person, still be a man of God? Because this guy cannot see more than where he is. He cannot comprehend what is happening. And that is why sometimes we say some things from the place we're standing. And we see some people that are like doing too much, or we feel like, oh, life is unfair. Not necessarily. And could it be another thing that really make me wonder, in this story is, I don't know what this guy was doing all the while. Because the one thing you were given to profit from on earth, the one thing God has given to you that should at least make you have a meaningful and purposeful life, you went ahead to hide it rather. And then I was just wondering, what was this guy doing along? That means it's people like this that will be hustling all their life, and it will look like God is not fair. Because this guy had left his perfect spot. This guy has left his divine calling. He has left a place of ease that God had created for him. This guy, I think what this guy will be doing is struggling, because he will, of course, he can't be idle. Even if he's idle, at least he's sleeping and waking up. That means he's not living the life he's supposed to. Because the one thing that was supposed to make his life easy, fruitful, productive, full of purpose and vision on earth, he had gone ahead to hide it. So that means this guy, when it's just like when you were coming to earth, you were given one thing that, this is one thing that will make you on earth, and you went ahead to hide it. that means this guy will be struggling, this guy will be hustling, that means this guy will not have a fulfilled life, that means this guy will be waking up and sleeping and getting tired and frustrated at life, at people, blaming governments, blaming their background, blaming their parents, blaming everybody possible. And could it be that that's what is happening to many of us? We think where we are is as a result of our backgrounds. I think it's because we were born in wherever country you are in right now, or because your parents were not rich. That's why it looks as if you're not so fortunate as every other person. Or you think it's because your government is that bad. I hope you know that whichever government, and this is not to, you know, make it sound just or make it sound right when we have bad governance. I'm just saying that regardless of any government of the world, I know the government play a crucial role, in the advancement of the people that they govern. But there are still some people that in that same land, even though it might be difficult, but are still living purpose. But I'm just saying that could it be that whatever that is responsible for your present state is not your parents, your background, your government, your spouse, your children, your country, whatever thing you've been blaming so far? Could it be that that one vision, that purpose, that calling, that idea that God has given to you, you've buried it? And that's why it looks as if you're struggling. That's why it looks as if, you are not living the life you've, because this guy cannot say he's now where he was given that one talent, because he went ahead to bring it from where he buried it. That means this thing has been with you all along. You are sleeping and waking up with that idea. You're sleeping and waking up with that God vision, and you are still wondering, what should I do? What job should I apply for? And God has given you a vision. God has given you an idea. God has given you something to live life with. God had called you with a purpose, and you are still wondering, what do I want to become in life? So I just feel like sharing this with you guys, with the prayer, not just the hope. Prayer that whichever way, you know, this blesses your heart, whichever way this ministers to you, whichever way this answers those questions in your hearts, whichever way, this helps us to check our lives and ask critical questions about the tragedy, of our lives, to really, meditate and take stock of our year. Because it's beautiful to have a plans for the year. When I want to do this year, 2026, a lot of us probably you started the year with, 10 things I want to do this year, and you're still stuck with one. Sometimes not just in the number of what you want to do, trust me. Sometimes it's it's a matter of doing it from a place of rest, from the place of divine ordination, from the place of ease that God had given you, from the place of the grace that God has given you. Because many people struggle in the area that they are not graced in, that they are not called for. And that is not to say that they are not graced in any way. It's just to say that they are exerting their strength, their time, their energy in an area that they are not necessarily called out for. And if they had put in the same time, energy, resources in that one thing, or two, or three, or five things they are called for, their life will be 100 times better. So I just hope that this blesses your heart. I just hope that this helps us to see God not just as a God or as a partial God, but as a just God that created every human on earth with at least one. And trust me, sometimes you don't need 12 talents or 2 talents. Even if it's just that one thing, suck out the juice. Let everyone recognize that, oh, this guy has maximized this vision, this talent, this purpose to the fullness, not just going halfway and like, oh, this is all I can do with this thing. No, do life with it as if your life depends on it, because your life actually does. I just hope this blesses someone's heart and answers some questions going on in our hearts. And please let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you.